So you're cooking now with AI, and what you discover, it gets messy. It's like, whoa, all these functions here and there, and this variable here, like, how do I organize this? You need plastic containers. You need ways to organize this AI tool stuff that you're building. Plugins, functions, native things, semantic things. How do I organize them? No problem. We have an organization system for your kitchen to be able to manage your tools. Not only that, improve them, refine them, like a knife sharpener. So let's jump in, get organized so we can cook even better AI. So you built a lot of inline functions in your code, and you discovered the beauty of having native functions, which can maybe make a pig Latin sort of a thing happen, which isn't as cool as converting the entire SWOT into a different domain. You get both native functions, AI prompts, and it turns out that large language models are bad at math, generally speaking. So you want native functions to do math. Woo! But if you want to do semantic stuff, where do you go? AI prompts. And you can enter things in pure code to build a semantic function, or we have an option to package your templated prompt and your configuration information. And if you see here, this input is here, this input is here, this configuration file is a JSON file, and this prompt file is a regular text file. And don't forget, we're living in the completion world. You can complete this prompt with the semantic completion model. Just a reminder, because we want to win the conceptual battle, semantic completion is what we're doing. Every kind of prompt template, complete the blank. That's what we're doing a lot of. We haven't run into semantic similarity yet. We're going to go there eventually, but just pay attention. Two kinds of ways to use this kind of AI. Now, back to business. What are we doing? We're trying to address the challenges of a business, a small business or a big business. And with a business, you have pretty simple rules of how to win. You want to grow your business. You want to save money and time. And sometimes you want to add a completely new business line, brand new revenue, yum. Or you want to actually prepare for the unknown, like some kind of oops can occur. Remember the pandemic? That was pretty bad. So with those ideas in mind, let's go and build a kernel. If you remember, everything's the same here. It looks familiar to you. I'm going to run this, and your kernel is ready. And what we're going to do differently this time is we're not going to type a lot of stuff in line to create a function. We're going to just leverage a pre-made business thinking plugin that, if you want to know where it is, look in your directory. It looks like this. There's a plugins SK folder. Inside it is a business thinking folder. There are basic strategies, seek cost efficiency, seek time efficiency. There's two files each. One is the config.json. The other is the text file that includes the templated prompt. And once you stick these in folders, you don't have to put them in the code. You can just refer to them, which sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? Okay, so we're going to do a couple things. We're going to grab a connection to this plugin. You'll notice it's in plugins SK, directory plugins SK, and I am going to go to the subdirectory business thinking. I'm going to grab a couple of my SWOT items, strengths. Remember the unique garlic pizza? You gotta love it. I'm going to also make a new context where I'm going to make three variables. One is the input to the plugin, makes pizza. I'm going to take those strengths and weaknesses. You see that? All these strengths, this is a list here. I'm going to join the list together, so it's like one long string. Okay, so we have three choices. We have basic strategies, cost efficiency, time efficiency. Let's use the cost efficiency plugin, which looks like this. If you recall, it's a templated prompt. It takes a business with strengths and weaknesses, and it formats it into a beautiful table. Let's go do this. Let's see, join weaknesses. Okay, I'm gonna go cost efficiency. How are you feeling out there? Is this kind of something that you want to do with your time? Certainly you do, because you're here. And I am with you here. I am doing the work of typing with you. And you can play me at 2x. No embarrassment. Input context equals my context. Okay, Looks good. This is going to run this seek cost efficiency skprompt.txt with the configuration attached to the model parameters. It's going to take this context, and if I am right, we are going to print it out. Let's get the plating ready for you. So you have to listen to me type. That's going to print out the suggestions. It's going to print it out, display it, pre-print it, and let's see what happens. Okay, well, isn't that beautiful? So what happened is it took the strengths and weaknesses, and the cost efficiency plugin is laying out, hey, cross-training staff would be a good idea. Menu optimization could help you. Maybe you should repair stuff inside the pizza shop because you had that flood damage. Maybe you should figure out to make calzones or not. So basically what happened is it took all that, laid it out in another level of analysis for cost efficiency. I'm sure you're wondering, like, how did it do that? Isn't it amazing? Think of how much time you would have taken to actually sort this information in your own head. It just did it for you. That's cost efficiency. You do the same thing for time efficiency by just changing this plugin here, and you can keep the variables like that. Don't worry, no one's going to judge you. And go ahead and look at the result on your own. And also, go ahead and change these strengths if you want to. You'll just see how this is not canned, it's actually generated. Magic, right? Okay, so what did we do here? We ran the business thinking plugin's capability to gain cost efficiencies. You tried out the time efficiency, hopefully. It's a delicious meal. And now we're going to actually look at another kind of business lens using strategy, because that's how we roll here. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to, again, use the plugin. And the plugin is imported from the directory. We're going to use the business thinking plugin. And remember that if you save or change your skprompt.txt or config.json, make sure you reload the plugin. Otherwise, it'll use the old one. Makes sense, right? You have to kind of reset. It's like pulling the plug out of your wall or turning your computer on and off. And I'm going to source into the context strengths and weaknesses. I forgot that in the previous cell, I need to include the opportunities and threats. Let's put them here. I have opportunities and threats. I have pulled in the business thinking plugin. I have set up a pretty decent context that uses the entire SWOT. You might feel a bit excited that something magical is going to happen because this stuff, like, it's just so strange. I mean, yeah, I wanted to figure out an entire business strategy. I'm going to use the kernel to run the plugin. Basic strategy. You have to remember that this would usually cost you money. But here we are taking solid business thinking and placing it inside the plugin. And let me give you the plated form. I'm going to give you the plated form of the output. The basic strategies takes in all this input. And it will now, let's cook this up. And again, I like to use this display because it makes these beautiful tables. Okay, so what is it telling us? It's telling us a lot. This is how you build on your strengths. This is how you can grow your revenue by taking advantage of opportunities. This is how to be resilient. If you notice, we had that challenge about the cheese, the rising cost of cheese. So it's suggesting that you experiment with alternative cheese options. Isn't that smart? Or you're going to have street construction impacting foot traffic? Well, you should increase your marketing. So this analysis here is extraordinary. It's of extremely high quality. And you just have to change the SWOT to adapt it to a different business. If you can go back and change interview questions, you can change the actual SWOT results. It's very fluid, this kind of AI. And if it gets confusing, don't forget, let's make it simpler for you. There are really only two problems that a business is dealing with. There are two buckets, a bucket of time and a bucket of money. They're losing money, they're losing time. It's why cost efficiency, time efficiency is so important. You remember those plugins you saw above. And also being able to see the forest from the trees is what business strategies is about. And now you can see that you could apply this method to different interviews and generate incredible advice. That is the power of this new kind of AI. And if you think about it, there's an easier way to do all this if you don't want to live in just Jupyter Notebooks. There is a Visual Studio Code extension for Semantic Kernel that lets you do all of this prompt tuning from your own IDE. Okay, so we did a lot of code stuff. I showed you how to do it in different ways. We like to show you different ways because it gives you a choice, but it's also how you achieve scale. You achieve scale through knowing different ways: easy, hard, more powerful, less powerful. And now let's move into design thinking.